Hello and welcome back to the Second Paradigm Podcast. This is
Season 4.
This is Season 4. You took my line. Should we reshoot it?
No, it's fine. We were going to have some fancy intro, right?
Yeah, we still are.
Okay, so first is, right, clickbait. Today we're going to talk about psychopaths.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm just...
No, we messed that up. No.
Hey,
I say...
What's here?
I say, hey, so David, what's here? And then you say...
Today we're going to talk about psychopaths.
And then I say, let's get into it. Right? Or something like that.
Something like that. We'll work out the kinks before we start the podcast. So welcome to episode 0.
So we decided to start a car cast because it's just what's here.
Yeah.
It's easy. The lighting's great. It's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to go and explore other little areas and sit and also people watch while we talk to you.
We might do that.
We've recorded one other one, but we'll probably never see the light of day.
I probably already deleted it.
Oh, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we drink out of styrofoam here, much like Texas.
They do that in Texas too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember getting there and I was like, ugh, styrofoam. Because we came from Seattle where, God forbid.
Yeah. Okay, so the feel of the podcast dropped in and I feel fucking miserable now. So I think the world must just be going to shit. I've never felt this bad going into a podcast. Ever. This is the worst I've felt. In at least since the last time we've done a podcast.
There we go. That's more accurate.
No, but seriously, It hasn't been like this.
I know.
I feel like crap before a podcast when it's not here to do podcasts, but not when it is here to do podcasts.
I know.
What, are you scanning me for truth? Okay. Do you have a date? Am I lying? It's fine.
No. Oh, no. No, I do agree. I mean, yeah, I was just thinking how we were just like intensely fighting before this. And I was like, it just felt weird. It just felt like it came out of nowhere.
It did come out of nowhere because I felt like crap.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about it.
Man, I don't know. It landed in, I just started to feel really pessimistic and cynical about everyone and everything.
He did.
Just about the totality of everything.
All of existence. Including you listening.
Sure. More so just about the totality of the second paradigm. It's more so that you listening don't exist. We're talking to fucking no one.
He's convinced that no one is going to ever listen to this.
It's all the things. It's okay. Where I finally hit it and then I finally kind of understood what I was feeling. It takes a while. First I just have to feel around with all of my scripts, right? So it's like, here's all of the scripts, like all of my cards that I have for all the things that are wrong. Bad things, right?
Yes.
But none of them fit. So none of them are it. So they just kind of keep churning and you kind of flip through the deck. You play 52 card pickup and you try to find the one. But what I finally hit was, now I'm forgetting because I was describing how I hit it and it was so great. Now I can't even remember what it was.
You were feeling the energetic of the people listening, the field of the podcast.
That's where I finally resolved. But the actual feeling itself was...
hopelessness and despair?
No, too broad.
I wish we recorded
it. It's that I feel way out on a limb. Like, for me to believe everything that I believe and to be who I am in the world and to own that and to see the world kind of destabilizing, going to shit. I don't know. I feel way out on a limb. Like, there's very few people that agree with what we do. Very few people that agree with intuition, divinity, God from a felt sense, not from a written sense. So I feel way out on a limb, like more than I ever have before. Being a channel felt easy-ish. At the time, it was terrible.
Right.
It was very hard, but it got easier. But then, like, being an ET channeling crazy person mixed with Alex Jones, that's like too much. It's too much. I feel so far out on a limb being who I am in the world. So I would rather just not be that in the world. Do you know what I mean?
What would you rather be instead?
general contractor. I got some boots, steel toe boots. I can build things. I could. Yeah, I just have to forget everything. You know. It's like it's called doublethink. 1984. It's where you know both truths, but you have to forget that you know both truths, and then just do whichever one is right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So general contractor.
So yeah,
We could
general
probably
contractor.
get signs made at Staples and put them out in people's yards after you've worked on their house, and you can say like small jobs and what else? Yeah, and then we can have your phone number. People will call.
Yeah, small jobs, big profits. And then I'll start a business coaching program for general contractors.
Yeah, everywhere.
For
them how to.
Yeah, and I'll build it on like ClickFunnels or something. I know how to do all that.
Yeah,
I'll build a funnel.
You'll get to use actually all your skills.
I'll use all of my skills.
It'll make sense. Your whole life will coalesce in
really
that one moment.
Only have to be a general contractor for like maybe 6 months to a year, and then I'll know enough about being a general contractor to teach other people how to be a general contractor.
Yep. You can have a YouTube channel, monetize it.
Yes. Yep. And I can make it clean.
Yep.
And it'd be so easy to make those videos. So much easier than making our videos.
Well, yeah, because what do we talk about in our videos?
Shit that nobody wants to hear. No, but okay, so that was the feeling. And then once I kind of hit that feeling, I was like, okay, now I understand. I'm feeling this general feeling of it's very difficult to be a spiritual person in 2021. It's very difficult to be a spiritual person who also understands what's happening in the world and to make it all real and to settle into the truth of it all. It's crazy making. It's crazy making to believe your intuition all the way. I think it's easy to believe your intuition some of the time for some life decisions, especially the big ones. That's easy.
Yep.
Oh my God, I need to go move and it's going to be so exciting and everything's going to come together and this is going to be so wonderful. It's easy to get manic and then trust your intuition every once in a while.
Yep.
Very difficult to then trust your intuition all the way through for every single decision in your life. And then when it also gets hard, to still trust your intuition. And then to also trust your intuition about what the world even is.
Yep.
Right? Then you start pushing into like all the sacred cows.
Tell me more about the sacred cows.
Sacred cows are just things you don't touch. It's a saying. Like, oh, you burn the sacred cow, or you know, that's yeah, like I don't know.
Okay.
Money's the root of all evil. It's not a good example. I don't know what a good example is. But you start pushing in on the thing, like the earth is round. Sacred cow. Sacred cow. Like you don't touch that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Or like, I mean, I guess like politics, sex, religion, right? All of those topics to a degree. Yeah. But I think I made it too broad.
It's okay.
It's fine. But you start getting into the things that are more like controversial and difficult and that less and less people believe. And you become more and more of a crazy person, I think, the more you trust yourself. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, and that's great that you can feel that. But I don't feel that in the field right now. Which I think means that the large majority of people don't feel that feeling of like, okay, bring it on. So I think that's a good place to start. This podcast, season 4 of this low production car podcast.
Yes. Yeah. I say bring it on in the sense of like, y'all think I'm the crazy one? You're fucking doing standardized tests. You're memorizing all these things. You're not actually learning. Like you're going to indoctrination camp for, 18 years of your life. Like, I'm crazy? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the like bring it on sense.
Yeah.
Of like, all right, let's go. Game time, bitches.
Yeah. So when I woke up this morning, you were listening to Jordan Peterson, which was very difficult to listen into to wake up into because he has a very different perspective than us. So first thing, we get into his explanation of why darkness isn't real. That's essentially what the podcast we were listening to.
I know. He uses big words and I get lost.
Well, what his perspective is, darkness isn't real. Systems are really bad and maybe 5% of the money from a charity or from some government
10%
organization makes it out of the bureaucracy and to the people who's supposed to help. But that's fine.
Right.
That's pretty good. That was his perspective.
Yep.
His perspective is, yeah, it's pretty bad here, but it's all by chance. There's no malicious intent. It's all kind of biological incentives and completely natural, and it's not that big of a deal, and it's better than it could be otherwise. That was kind of his perspective for a long time on across everything.
When I listen to him, I'm scanning for, are you controlled opposition, and why didn't they actually kill you off? Did they try to kill you off because you were touching on something and like creating more of a move? Like, that's what I'm scanning for when I listen to him.
Yeah.
So I did not pick up on that, on his perspective of darkness. But
yeah,
but
he
now
didn't
that you're saying
say it like that.
No, I know. Now that you're saying it like that, now I hear it.
Yeah.
I can
That
hear
was my
it back.
general sense. I haven't listened to anything since he got sick.
Yeah. I know, same. I've like wanted to, because I've been curious where he's at, but then.
Yeah. I know I haven't been able to.
But I think his daughter, she talked about finding God.
Recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a brain scramble.
Yeah.
So yeah. So continue.
But that perspective, I think, is very common. That is a convenient perspective to have. I think socially, that is a very convenient perspective to have. It's positive. That is a positive perspective to have.
Says who?
Says me. I'm saying that is a very convenient perspective to have socially. Like when I feel into things, that is the easiest perspective to hold. Things are really bad here, and I understand the depths of how bad things are here, but it's no one's fault. There's nothing really wrong here, and it's better than it could be, so we probably shouldn't complain about it.
Yeah, it's like the put up and shut up.
Yes, it kind of brushes it all under the rug. I think that's the easiest perspective to have. As like a manager, great perspective to have. As a thought leader, great perspective to have, because you can touch anything. You can acknowledge people's hardships. You can acknowledge that things are bad here. You can acknowledge that things aren't great. But then you say, yeah, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So just stay chipper. I think
that's how you get into
perspective.
you need to have positive thoughts, then you'll feel better. That's how those whole industries get created. Because you glaze over the truth of what's here. Yeah.
So I think why I feel very out on a limb is because I would prefer to have his perspective.
Yeah.
Not just because I want to agree with Jordan Peterson, because I don't really care about that, but because it's a convenient and easy perspective to have. And I think socially I could say that anywhere and people would think it's profound.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but not really, because then there'd be fuckers like me, and I'd be like, wait, what is he saying?
Yeah, but you are like one in like a million.
Whatever. Bring
So
bring it.
But I'm saying it'd be very. I think it'd be socially convenient to have that perspective.
It's not what we talk about at the second paradigm. The second.
Yes, so that is my problem right now. That is the hard thing.
Karate chop.
And I'm not even saying that this is my singular David's problem. I'm saying this is, I think, the hardest thing about having a perspective that's different than these really blanket platitudes of like, oh, everything's fine and everything's good and we're all good people here. We're all doing our best. Let's just try to get along and remember that family and friends are the most important things. And on your deathbed, you're going to want to look back. The blanket personal development stuff, I think, is the easiest perspectives to hold. And when you step outside of that, it gets harder and harder and harder to be that and to express that.
When you step outside of those perspectives.
Yep, of like being positive. Like I think it's hard to be cynical unless you play a character and that's a funny thing.
Yep.
Like outside of comedy and acknowledging that people are going to laugh at you and then making that your shtick, you can take that route. Like I think about like the Massachusetts guy on TikTok. He's like, it's like, that people are laughing at you for being cynical and that's your thing. So you kind of go for it.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm from Boston. So who gives a shit? Fuck you, and you kind of like, you lean into it.
Yep.
Outside of that route, you want to be as positive as possible because that's what makes other people feel good about themselves and their lives. So then that kind of boosts your own social status because people feel better around you when, people, because they get some of that positivity from you. It kind of reinforces that delusion that everything's okay, everything's great, there's nothing wrong here, we should all be happy, we're all going to be successful one day, we just got to keep going, keep trying, stay positive. You know?
Yep.
So I think like that's why for me, when I listen to those things, I'm like, fuck, it sounds smart and it's really convenient. And I wish I had that perspective. Not, I'm in contact with a being from somewhere else. He's not from here. He's not in a human body, and he's real smart. So I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to breathe breathe real hard for a bit, and then my voice is going to change, and then he's going to tell you some smart things. I don't know what they are, but afterwards I'm going to say, yeah, that's really good, because it's always good. I know it's going to be good. And our perspective is that, oh yeah, it's really fucking dark here, and you just gotta accept it, and then trust God, trust yourself. What God? No, not the God that everyone else is talking about. No, the real God. We sound like fucking lunatics. But I 100% genuinely, I check myself all the time, right? Clearly, because we're having this conversation. Clearly, I check myself all the fucking time. I can't check myself out of this. I can't check out. This is like the hotel from fucking hell. But it's a good thing. It's a bad metaphor. But because I can't check myself hard enough to get out of this perspective. I cannot find anything that I agree with more than intuition is the truest. It's like the most potent, powerful decision-making force in existence. When you trust it, things always go more smoothly than when you don't. And you can actually feel how things are going to go before they even happen. Yep. And they play out that way. Things do go really well when you trust. They get hard. There's speed bumps. There's all sorts of emotions. You're going to come up with a bunch of reasons why nothing is okay. But that's just kind of a part of the human experience. And when you accept all of that, you can settle back, find your peace, and things really do go smoothly. Things really do go better when you trust intuition. So that's like I can't get out of that perspective, but intuition takes me to places that I don't want to be because they're socially inconvenient.
Like what?
Like being a mix of Jordan Peterson and Alex Jones. I don't want to be that. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to put Jordan Peterson logic to Alex Jones theories. You know what I mean? But that's what I end up fucking doing. This conversation's fucking crazy. But like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that in the world. I would much rather be like a positive, inspirational speaker.
You are. That's a side.
Sure, but like, I mean, truly. But do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay.
I do get what you're saying.
Okay, now let me understand what you're saying, because I don't.
You want to understand what you're saying through me?
No, now I understand. What do you mean I am?
Just by having this conversation. Well, because people do the same thing. They listen to Jordan Peterson. I mean, I hope. I don't know. Sometimes I have very little hope for humanity because I'm like, wow. Elon can tweet out a tweet and then the whole world goes nuts. It's like, whoa, you guys are super programmed still. What are you doing? Yeah. So whatever. But for the sake of this, I imagine people listen to Jordan Peterson and they're dissecting it too in their own way and trying to make sense of it. Yeah. And then same, you can listen to Alex Jones and like, it's the same. People are dissecting it in their own way and making sense of it. Yeah. And I think what's so great about the second paradigm in your channel and what you say and what you bring through as a channel and as you is a really synthesized version of all of that. But it's so unique to the individual. It's because I'm not listening to Jordan Peterson to try to figure out my life or Alex Jones to try to figure out my life. Sure. But I do listen to you and I do listen to your channel and I do read your docs. Mm-hmm. And that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. You read my docs?
Yeah, I was just. Well, I usually listen, but I was since the starting place isn't on audio. I've had to read. I'm like, fuck. I don't like. Well, no, it's not that I don't like to read. I just feel like I forgot how, but. I love to listen. I love listening is my jam.
I love to read because it's faster.
Oh yeah, I don't even think about efficiency or speed, but yeah.
Yeah. I can process it better that way too when I'm looking at it with my eyeballs. Because I think laterally and then I can come back to the same point. Do you know what I mean?
No. I have no idea what you mean.
I mean, like, I like to read something and then I can stop there and I know that I'm there. And then I can think about a bunch of other things and then come back to the same point. So I can connect way more when I'm reading because I can take it at my pace and I can blaze through some pieces. And often, to be honest, when I'm reading, I just feel and I go, nope, 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 nope. And I don't read anything. I just go, nope, 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 nope. And I go, huh, okay. I'm feeling like the energy's slowing down. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll read this. And I just ask like what to read and then I kind of flip through. So that's kind of weird too.
The life of a channel. Yeah.
But yeah, I do prefer reading.
Yeah, I like to listen. There's like a whole picture that gets painted and then it like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm scanning for truth. It feels easier for me to scan for truth when I hear a voice. I can so tell with like tones and frequency. I don't know what it is.
Okay, but I took us on a detour because you complimented me and then I got uncomfortable. I think that's what just happened, right? So
it's okay.
You were saying that people listen to those people and they're scanning for
to find like relief in their own life. But I don't know how you could find reprieve after listening to Jordan Peterson. He uses all these it's like the doctor saying derma for skin instead of like, oh, you got a rash on your skin. It's like, let's call a spade a spade. Yeah. I feel like he was using all these words and I was like, wait, this doesn't track. Like, granted, I don't know what he's saying, but it doesn't feel necessary. Like, it's like,
yeah,
it's like thesaurus. You go like all the way up to like the longest word you can find. Is kind of how it felt. And then he strung that word to another word and I was like, I don't know what he's fucking saying. But there's no like relief in that. I probably what ends up happening is people really agree with it. They adopt it as their own, or they feel like me and they're just like, I have no idea what he's saying. This isn't helpful. But that's not what you do. Because one of your gifts too, as being a channel, is you can pull through people's like, it's wild. It's wild to watch when you articulate things for people because they're never in a way that I would say it. And it's never in a way you would say it. Yeah. It's always in a way that's going to be best received by them. But it's not a manipulative tactic that I have seen motherfuckers do. That's not what you're doing. Because there's this like in the coaching industry, there's the like you need to talk to their level. You need to talk where they're at. You need to say these things to them because they're this tier of person or whatever. There's all this fucked up shit.
Yeah.
I need to call it out because it's out there. Yeah. But you don't do that. I don't feel it's so natural and so fluid because their whole field comes up and then you just read it back to them and they feel relieved and reprieve because they know that already. Now they just have the articulation for it and the understanding and the context of what the fuck is going on in their world.
Yeah, I think it's things like that. Like having done this now for 4 or 5 years, it feels hard for me to have those experiences and then rationalize intuition away or rationalize all these things away. You know what I mean?
We're not doing that.
So
we can't do that.
I know, which is good. I said it's hard. It's hard, difficult. Yeah, there's these people, right? There's these ideas. There's this like really common perspective that's out there that's difficult to disprove, I think. You know, it's hard to like push against that hard. It's like often I feel like I'm not smart enough to like disprove what they're saying. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know who would be or if that's possible to disprove some of those statements.
Relevant.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, we're not going to the same place. Like you're on a different train, home slice.
Yeah, but I think that the thing that's difficult about not being able to like disprove it immediately, the thing that makes me insecure in those moments, because when I'm listening to things like Jordan Peterson, first I try to understand and I'm kind of straining. So I strain a little bit and then I understand what he's saying and then I get insecure. So then that insecurity makes me then check myself and then I go to battle is kind of what it feels like. So then internally I go to battle with my perspectives versus his perspectives and then someone wins. And it's typically me actually. But it takes so long and it's so much effort. And then sometimes like I don't actually fully get there. And then I just kind of assume that he wins. And then, you know, it's like, I don't know. I just am insecure and that's where it ended. Now I feel like shit.
Yep.
But there's something, I don't know. There's like something about that process where it's like, if it's not easy to disprove it immediately, if you can't write it off, there's that like, it starts to kind of get in there because it's a common perspective. And it's hard to look out at the majority of people and go, no, all of you were wrong. And then to have the majority of people look back. It's all in our singular heads. It's never actually happened like this. But then the majority of people look back and go, yeah, but how? And you go, oh, I don't know. Like that's really hard to stand in.
Yep.
Which is why I think it's so hard to have these perspectives and to be this person in 2021. But like at the same time, it's like just what we're doing, you know? Yeah. It's what we're doing because we trust our intuition and it checks out enough for us to do it.
Yep.
This has checked out, this path of being a spiritual person in this way, for everyone listening and us, has checked out enough to bet our life on it.
Yeah.
And to bet pieces of our identity on it. Like we're fine with being the crazy spiritual person. That piece is easy now.
Yep.
Like, so yeah, I don't know what they're doing over there. Do their energy work and whatever, you know, oh, they're that person. That became okay. But we've already bet our whole life and pieces of our identity on it. It's like we're not going anywhere. But that discomfort, it feels helpful to get from that place of discomfort of like, okay, I am a piece of shit and I'm insecure and everyone's right and I'm wrong. It feels helpful to get from that place, but I'm going to do it anyway because I trust myself and it checks out for me. That's, I think, the place where most spiritual people are when they're doing it. Yep. It feels helpful to get from that place to then what you said, where it's like, bring it on. Yeah. It's like, wait, how the fuck do you get there? You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah. Well, and then there's layers of like truth whatever I was going to say, layers of truth. I don't even know what I mean by that. But like, if you were to actually get in a discussion with Jordan Peterson on these topics, you would be so prepared ahead of time. There would be so much like preparatory. You'd be guided by light. You'd be guided by soul. You'd have exactly the right parables and the right examples to say. Like it would hit in a different way because it would be time for it to. So I think that's another piece of, I guess that's the layers of truth. It's like another piece of doing this work is we know we're always prepared for what's to come as long as we do the things that are here for us. As long as we be with the tension that's here for us, as long as we trust what we're getting and keep going anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the like bring it on sense, because it's like, okay, bring it. Like, I'm fully prepared. I know that I am. That's what I've been doing this whole entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why this path is hard in the first place, is because we're dealing with things that people don't deal with. Like, we're moving forward in life. I think there's this experience as a spiritual person that you end up having that's inevitable, where you go through this life experience and it's like a big puzzle and it feels like nothing's going to work out, and then it does, and then you gain a little bit of confidence, or you like get a little piece of yourself back. Yep. That, I think it keeps happening and keeps going. Yeah,
I don't think that ever stops.
I don't think that ever stops either. I think you get to like really full-blown embodiments of who you are, and you're able to like stand up against basically anyone in any circumstance, you know, like that I think is an achievable thing, certainly in this lifetime.
Absolutely.
I feel very close to that when I'm not pouting under the weight of the field. It's so hard being all of us. It's like, wait, hold on, am I a person anymore? Why does everyone hurt? I can't describe this. But I do feel closer and closer to that. Yeah. Because you're right. I would be prepared, and I think most people would be prepared for that.
Of course.
If that was what was actually there for them, if that was a circumstance they were actually going to be in. But there's this piece of like going through those experiences and then having that like piece of your soul come online, or like reclaiming that little piece of yourself. And I think that's the thing about even things like this whole conversation of like, okay, I'm going into this circumstance and it sucks and I feel insecure and I'm watching this person talk, or I'm feeling how the rest of the world feels about COVID. I'm feeling how the rest of the world feels about these shots. I'm feeling how the rest of the world feels about darkness, how it's not real. It's not that big of a deal. And like Satan worshipers, oh no, that's just like a trend. It's like gothic. It's like emo. Like, oh yeah, all the rappers that are like praising Satan. Like, yeah, that's just a piece of their image. Like, that's what it looks like to be cool these days. Like, you can look at that and you can see the perspective of the world, and it's easy to brush it aside, and it's easy to assume that everyone's good and doing their best because that's what personal development says, because it's easier to think that than that everyone's terrible. And it's actually closer to think that. It's closer to truth that everyone's good than everyone is terrible. I think it's closer that everyone's good. But it's like, that, I don't know, this whole transformation, it feels purposeful. That's the thing that I'm trying to say, is that there's purpose in it, there's an outcome from it. And this is even one of those things where you go into it and then you get a little piece of yourself back. Like when you go through the psychological journey of feeling insecure as fuck and then really feeling it out and like letting intuition and divinity almost reprogram your identity and brain. Like it's a weird experience to have divinity pushing back on all of your insecurities and battling. It's like duking out with God internally, and you never win that battle. It's unwinnable. But when you don't win that, things get better and easier and things start resolving, you know? And it's like, if you let God destroy you internally and all of your objections to soul, all of your objections to intuition, to soul, to truth, then like that is evolution in and of itself.
Yeah.
And there's even a feeling of like, yeah, bring it on even in that, where it's like, yeah, I feel the same pain and suffering. I also feel alone. I also feel as though I'm an outcast. I also feel wrong. I also feel insecure. But like, that's what it takes to be this in this time in these bodies. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, are you willing to do it anyway? That's kind of the bring it on.
Yeah.
It's not like, how does this feel good? How does it feel good to be a minority in a body that wants to be in the majority? That's an impossible puzzle unless you accept it and then almost crave it.
Yep. Really well said.
Yeah, it's helpful to talk all this out. It's nice. I like this podcast. It's good.
Oh, God.
It was just so, well, you felt it. It was hard. You felt it drop in too, yeah?
Yeah.
This was a lot.
It was
It's a lot. It's like the psychological pressure of like all the people that are going to be listening to this and their like bodies screaming out like, this is all shitty and terrible. And, you know, it's kind of what it feels like. It feels like walking to hell and everyone's screaming and you have like a little spritzer. And it's like, should I get to work or should I not get to work? Because I think I'm about to light on fire. I would much rather leave and then put my water bottle down and go back to the fucking oasis of peace. But yeah, I mean, it's why we're here. We're here to get our little spritzer and fucking start spraying it and then watch the, like, you know, the wave of water ripple out. Little water goes a long way.
Yep. Yeah. It seems kind of dramatic. I feel like it's not that bad.
What? What, a little water goes a long way in hell?
Yeah, and like bringing a spritzer bottle to hell, and like it doesn't, at least today, to me, it doesn't feel that way. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being dramatic for
effect.
Yep. But it certainly feels like that at times. Certainly. And it feels impossible.
Yeah, I get the impossible feeling for sure. That's where I get like all like grouchy. And I'm like, fine, I'll just fucking have to wait for you fuckers to wake up.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, still doing the new age thing where we light wash everything. Oh, fuck. Okay.
I know. See, that's the thing though, right? Like,
that's where I go.
So this is another new age ideology. The waiting is another new age thing. Like, that is new age programming. Because there's this saying.
I'm not even waiting, to be honest. I'm not waiting for anybody. I'm going to keep going.
I know. But like this, I think it's another, that feeling I think is also very common. I'm not calling you out. I think that feeling is also very common of like, I have to wait for everyone to wake up, because there's this blanket feeling, right? We can feel into the future far enough where light wins. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
And that message comes through continually.
Yep.
And I think it's important that we know that, because otherwise it genuinely is discouraging.
Yep.
It's like, this is an impossible feat. I don't care how many of us there are.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's asleep and severely under control.
Yeah.
This is really fucked up. And the people that we even see aren't even they're under control too.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even fucking know who it is.
Yeah.
We have not a single person. We don't know a single person who's actually pulling the strings. Not a single one.
It's true.
So it's hard, I think, being in that and then going, oh yeah, light wins, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually feel the full truth of that and you
Yep.
get that message directly from God, there's this sense of like, oh, okay, so I can proceed. It's safe to proceed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I think that then gets twisted by like New Age, and there's elements of manifestation in it too, where it's like, and so it is, right?
Aho.
There's elements of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it is, aho, where it's like, you just got to wait for it. You got to hold it in your vision, and you got to wait for it, and you got to settle back and just kind of like
Yeah.
finagle your way there by thinking about
Yeah,
it really
keep your
hard.
third eye.
And if you ever doubt it because you actually glance at reality for a moment
Yeah.
and stop floating in the clouds, then you won't make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's a perpetual waiting mechanism that I think is installed in New Age ideology to
Yep.
get people to do nothing,
Yep.
that I
Yep.
think then spills over
Yep.
into just being able to see genuinely intuition from God, light wins, and then go, yeah, but I have to wait for all these other fuckers to wake up. And it's like, no, that's why you're here, because it's your decisions that are creating that future. You're seeing a reality with you doing your work in it.
Yep.
You're seeing a reality where all of the people who are currently online and active in divinity are doing their work and pressing in. If they
Yep.
don't do that, light doesn't win. But you're seeing the
Right.
most likely outcome given that things proceed as they are now, which requires us to actually engage and
Yep.
speak our truth and then speak into all the things we're seeing.
Yep. Yep. Fully agree with that.
So that
Yeah.
so it's funny, right? Then coming all the way back, and it's like, oh, I have to wait for all these fuckers to wake up. It's like, no, we have to wake up all these fuckers by speaking our truth, not through brute force, but
Right.
just by actually being ourselves to the degree that is so uncomfortable because we don't want all those fuckers to judge us, right? It's like, fuck, I have to have all of these fuckers judge me. That's the thing that'll inevitably then wake them up through time,
Yeah.
is by me being myself to such a degree that they remember it.
Yep.
It's not by going
Yep.
in there and like hooking ourselves to their problems and then solving them for them.
Right.
It's by speaking the truth, transmitting, being ourselves,
Right.
and then letting every single one of them judge us, which only pushes even more on the insecurity.
Yep.
So we got to be solid enough to be able to do that. We have to be like the Boston, Massachusetts guy, right? We have to be like the hey, you'll fuck off. It's just what I'm doing is I'm just trusting my intuition, bitch. You know, it's like we have to be able to be in that. Funny enough,
Yeah.
we have to be able to be a little bit East Coast in our spirituality, or else we're going to get rolled over.
Yep. Yep. I love that.
Yeah, it's cool. East Coast spirituality.
Yes,
I don't even
love
have an
that.
accent.
I know.
I
It's
just
okay.
pretend.
It's good.
You know, I'm mediocre at it.
Yeah.
I like to pretend I'm good at it. In my head, I hear myself do it. I'm like, oh, that's so good. That's like basically the same as the actual Boston accent, but I know it's not.
We did that challenge last night where
Oh my God. You get down on all fours.
Yep.
And then you get down like in like the girly pose like this.
You
and then
rest
you
your hand in your...
and then you take your hands out and put them behind your back. And girls can all do it.
Yep.
Guys cannot do it. You got to really rock back on your butt to do it as a guy. You got to bring your butt all the way to your heels, or else
Yeah.
you'll fall right on your face. I fell on my face 5 times last night. I was so confident. So confident. I was like, oh, if that guy fell, I'm not going to fall. I could totally do
The
it.
confidence was next level.
Yeah. I fell right on my face. My glasses pressed into my eyes. Like, fuck. So embarrassing.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know. I can't imagine doing anything else, though. I feel like I can poke holes in everything. Like everything I listen to, I feel like I can poke holes in.
I know.
And that's what's not appealing about it.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
agree.
like it feels like gross. Like it feels like ugh. Like what do you mean create a vision board for the future? Like that's your advice at this Patriot event right now? Fuck.
Yeah.
Like oof. Or like just be positive. It's like what?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also just this like weird, I don't even know. I think people are so It's the same mechanism that got us all watching the Kardashians or the whatever, the reality TV, Jersey Shore, whatever iteration of reality TV we watched, American Idol, all of that stuff. Like, it's that same thing that's happening today. It's not any different. And it's a complete disconnection from people's own real life experience. Like, I don't think people are really spending a lot of time in their own intensity. They're doing all these things to avoid it, like drinking and smoking and, you know, whatever the vice is. Like, but the God, soul, light is pressing you even further into these experiences to stand up at the grocery store, to say something, to not wear a mask, to not acquiesce. Like, there's all these things that you're actually being pressed into, which is in those circumstances, you actually get to meet who the fuck you are here. Otherwise, you just perpetuate that same cycle of, it's the same like archetype of like working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, going to the gym after work or going to happy hour and then drinking and living for the weekends. Oh my God, it's Friday. I'm taking a half day. We're all leaving early. We're all going to get drunk. It's that same thing that perpetuates even in New Age communities. I mean, definitely. And when you realize that New Age is a psyop, which we've talked about before a zillion times, it's
probably like 30, maybe 30.
Well,
not even. Not even
like
sounds
I
like
talk
a lot.
about it all the
That's
time.
true. You do.
I'm like relentless about it.
That's good.
Well, because I see it so clearly now. And when you see that who it started from, and that one of the Freemasons started this New Age ideology with another woman, and then the Lucis Trust was founded, which was called Lucifer Trust, and then it was, oh, that's too close to Satan, let's call it Lucis Trust. That's a publishing company that publishes all these New Age books.
Yep. And Madame Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society, and that's at the foundation of so much of it too. When you trace back New Age and all the ideologies. And
wait, say that, Madame who?
Madame Blavatsky.
Oh, okay.
And the Theosophical Society. There's a lot. There's a lot in there too.
Funny. Yeah. Same.
It
So
is same.
all of that. Well, yeah. Once that like popped, it made so much sense because you have all these people just sitting because, okay, so this is what happened, right? Like I think I don't know. New Age has obviously been around longer than I have. It was in like the 60s or something that it first started. I can't remember exactly when, maybe even a little earlier. Ooh, I don't know dates. But it's like they knew people were going to wake up. That's why this had to play out the way that it has 2020 plus. But it's like they put a blanket. So people, this is how I envision it. And this is the message I got the other day. It's like 10 plus years ago, we all kind of started like popping, like your mom passed away. My mom had a stroke. That was a boom for us to like start questioning reality and like what the fuck's important here and what are we actually doing? And like those questions started to ping in. And like, I didn't care that at the time I was managing people, I didn't care if they were late to work anymore. Before I was like, you can't be late. I'm like that now, but, but like, yeah, it was just this like, so many words are trying to come out all at once. So it's like there was this pop that initially happened. And then all of this New Age, it's like people started experimenting with energy and Reiki and healing. And it happened more than 10 years ago, obviously, but this is just for reference. And it's like, oh shit, these people are leaving religion and they're finding something in energy work. We need to put them in this bucket so they don't actually find out the truth. Like, so now we're gonna like cattle, we're gonna like just filter them over here and we're gonna put in, you know, whatever the fuck. I don't even know. All that shit that I learned, like the Reiki, the energy work, the land work, the healing, all the things, all the modalities, all the stuff, the crystals, the pendulums, all of it, the tarot cards, all of it.
Yeah.
And it like all gets like lumped in over there and it keeps people busy, but nothing actually changes. I mean, maybe, but like it feels like stagnant. Like it definitely feels like I can see the psyop in it. Because then it's like New Age spirituality works until it doesn't, because you eventually outgrow it, fucking hopefully, because you're like, wait, like I don't want to play an archetype, but I'm being told by my mentor that I just need to embody the archetype of queen and then I'll have my way. It's like, what? That's what we're fucking doing? No, you need to be the archetype of you and be a goddamn person with a fucking opinion. And if that opinion doesn't match anyone around you, good. It was sent to you by God. Trust it.
Yeah, which funny enough, the archetypes, I haven't made this connection directly, but the thing with the archetypes is also almost exactly how LaVeyan Satanism describes the I think it's lesser magic.
Oh, funny. I didn't even know that.
Well, by playing by playing a very specific character, you can get your way.
Yeah.
That's essentially how the psychological
you see
tricks
people
work.
do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can feel when people are playing a character to get their way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so fucking obvious, especially the opportunist. The opportunist is clear as fucking day to me. Yeah. It's like, wait, you're not actually being a real person right now. Like, there's something fucking slimy going on here. And that's what I love so much about this work, and what this work has become at the second paradigm is drawing that clean line.
Yeah.
Light and dark. Like, it feels so fucking good to me to see that someone's being a goddamn opportunist and trying to manipulate energy so they can, for personal gain, because that's the only reason. That's the only reason you manipulate energy. That's the only reason that you try to manifest anything, is for personal gain. Yeah. Tell me otherwise, you fucking can't. So there we go. So when that slime comes in at you, and instead of, I don't care the relationship with the person, I don't care how long you've known them, or if they're a good person or a bad or whatever, I don't give a fuck. Darkness. I don't play that. I fucking see you. I'm out. Like that, like, to me, that has been so helpful to draw that really clean line. It's like, oh, I don't play those fucking games like you do, Home Slice. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And when you get into the gray territory where you're hemming and hawing about what to do when you feel the slime, it's like, no, trust your knowing. You fucking know. Yeah. You always know. And why do you need to learn a hard lesson and play out a fucking abusive timeline with people that are treating you like shit? But the crazy thing is here, because we were going to talk about psychopaths, right? We said that at the beginning. The crazy thing here is that is what is encouraged. That behavior is encouraged. That behavior is taught. You are taught how to get ahead here. You are taught how to manipulate things. You are taught, I mean, even the people in the personal development world, about speaking to other people's levels. Like, that is shit. That is fucking learned. Mm-hmm. That is taught in a goddamn conference room. Mm-hmm. It is taught how to manipulate people, how to sell them into something, how to get them to continuously say all these little yeses. So then when you pitch your big yes, they say yes. Yeah. Or to make them feel insecure, to put in all of these things into the fucking field, to put you into a meditative state and imagine you on your deathbed and who would you be if you didn't take my course? Yes. We went to an event like that. Fucking nasty, dirty, darkness, manipulative. Fuck off. Mm-hmm. That's why that clean line has to be drawn. It makes it so much easier. Mm-hmm. And then you know what you're looking out for, and you know what you're doing here. Because you're like, oh, I'm not doing any of that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that clean line is I think one of the most difficult things to draw.
No one does that in New Age.
Nobody
There's all
does
this
it.
like, well...
Nobody does it in the world. That was a big piece of what Jordan Peterson was saying today too. He was like, it's all heuristics. It's all, essentially, it is like,
I know, what does
models.
Mean?
I'll try to explain what he was saying differently. Everything in life is a model. It's a way of looking at the thing that's not actually the thing. Mm. So he's like, I'm not who you see me as. I'm much more complex, and I'm a ball of atoms and all of these other things. He's like, but you look at me as like, oh yeah, you're the lobster guy. And by simplifying it down, you're able to engage with him in a way that's useful. He's like, so everything's heuristics, and everything's all just a bunch of different models. And when you know that, essentially what he's saying is everyone's oversimplifying everything. Everything is much more complex, and you want to be able to simplify things down to as simple as it gets to where it's still useful. But he's saying that we've simplified things too much. So now people are bad that aren't actually bad. Now people are good. And it's not even now people are good that aren't good, because that was not his point. His point of the entire thing was defending darkness. His point of the whole thing was defending things that people saw as atrocious by saying it's all way more complex than that. Mm-hmm. They're not the way that you actually see them.
Yeah. I mean
but I think so, right? So then it's convincing, because it's easy to then go into that and go, yeah, everything is kind of a shade of gray.
Mm-hmm. You're like, I need to have compassion for this person that's continuously abusing me.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, because I can see, because their parents, I mean, of course they're this way because their parents abuse them. And
yeah.
No.
But where you end up, and that actually, him talking about that was the thing that for me then started to pop out of that where I was like, oh, I just won in my head. I was like, oh, I won. Okay, cool. Because what he's saying is that it's so funny that that's how my brain plays things out. I need to beat him or else I fucking can't sleep. But it's like if you do that across everything, you end up with a picture of everything is inefficient and everything, all of the cards are stacked kind of against you, but it's no one's fault and it's all coincidence. Everything's inefficient by coincidence. The whole left and the democratic ideology right now is lining up with a larger top-down tyrannical takeover by coincidence. They're all good people. It's coincidence. They're all good people doing their best and they don't have enough time. That's literally what he said, was they don't have enough time to make these decisions and to read these reports and to write these bills, and so that they pass it down through the chain until it gets to someone who's so inadequate that their inadequacy then trickles up the bureaucracy. So it's all coincidence. It's all the systems. They don't have enough time. They're such good people. They're trying to do their best, but it's all coincidence that things are set up this way. When I look at that is so absurd, because you look across so many industries and so many different ways of being and governing. And it's like, yeah, but there's not enough good things here. Like there's not enough things that work efficiently, that work according to the way that we all feel that they should, for this to just be one big coincidence across every single thing. Because that's the thing that for me started to make it more real, where it's like, oh, okay, so if I draw this really clean line between there is light and there's dark, then can things sort? Or is there actually a gray? Are there things that don't fit in that bucket properly? There's nothing that doesn't fit in that bucket properly when the line's drawn correctly. And when you draw the line far enough to light and go, there is light and there's everything else, what you end up with is, are you getting that directly from divinity and God? Are you trusting yourself all the way through? Even if I don't understand it, I can feel when it's from God because I know what God feels like. Even if I don't agree, I can feel that it's from God because I know what God feels like. Are you getting that from God, or is it something else? And if it's something else, then it's darkness. When I draw the line there, then you end up with essentially everything here is darkness. That's where then I go to the little water and hell goes a long way. That's why I then make the extreme metaphors, because that's the place that you end up in. Is basically everything his darkness, because it's not the things, they're not getting it from God. And there is an active effort to take God out of politics, take God out of, I mean, it even feels like to take God out of religion in some weird fucking way, right? I mean, let's strip God out of religion by giving you God's rule set that's actually from the recent Pope. You know, it's like, that's weird. How can you take God even out of religion? Let's take God out of the institutions, out of the one world religion, aka New Age spirituality. There's an active effort against divinity, against God, against intuition, against truth, against light. And once you see that, then it's even harder to say that it's all coincidence. Because it's like, even if they were all being manipulated and didn't know it, still behind that, there's darkness. Because darkness is very real. We've all felt darkness. If you are a spiritual person, we've all felt darkness to a very extreme. Like a very small percentage of the population has felt darkness like spiritual people, because they end up dabbling. You end up dabbling, and then holy shit, does it come after you. Holy shit, dude, very quickly you start to feel crazy, suicidal, like everything's going to fall apart. And you start to have these weird kind of like glitchy, like vision fucking, that's darkness. We've all felt that. And if you imagine we went through that and got there because we were trying to find light. Imagine if you were trying to find darkness, and then you started working with that energy. You could bargain with that energy. You could make deals with that energy. That's like, that also happens here. That was described in the Bible. There are people that work with demons. I've met someone on fucking our YouTube comments before, back in the day, where he's like, oh, I prefer the dark beings. They're more powerful. That's the perspective. Like, it's not that crazy to think that the same phenomenological experiences that we have on our road to chasing light, that people have had the exact opposite experiences by chasing darkness, because they know that they can bargain with the devil to get things, to get things from the system that's blatantly darkness. Like, if that's clear to you and you choose that route, it'll go much further than like some attacks at night one time when I was dabbling where I shouldn't have been dabbling. That's about how much we've experienced it. But you can go much further into that, and you can start making deals with the devil very literally. To imagine that that doesn't exist, and to imagine that that darkness doesn't have its hands in eradicating God and divinity from our landscape philosophically, in our just conversations socially, like to imagine that darkness doesn't have a role in taking light out of our society is fucking crazy. To imagine that's all coincidence. It's all because the people at the top don't have enough time. That's where I was like, Jordan Peterson, you just fucking lost. Because you say you believe in God, but how do you not see that? You know what I mean? That's where I was like, okay, cool. I can sleep again. Like I can wake up and start my day and not be in misery all day today until we start our podcast and the whole field drops in.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. There's so many great things about the second paradigm and what we stand for that have been really helpful for me personally. One of them is drawing that clean line.
Same.
And not making excuses for people. You know, it's like, no, like the fucking bitch at the coffee shop, she's a fucking bitch. I don't need to keep going there anymore.
Yeah.
She didn't do what was actually here. She worked outside the energy. It got wonky and we stopped going there. Like it's shit like that. Like it's so basic. It's like, if you're not actually doing what's here, then fuck it.
Yeah.
Wasting my time.
Yeah.
Well, she's young and she hasn't had enough business experience yet and she doesn't know. And, I could make excuses all day, but no, those dog days are done.
Yeah.
That keeps you in a freaking loop of nonsense of making yourself bad and wrong instead of just recognizing what we're actually seeing here play out.
Yep.
I don't care that that's how it is here because it's not.
Yes.
That's not the truth of it.
Yes.
That's why we came here is because this is how it is here.
Yes. About to say the same thing.
I pulled it first.
Yeah, because that is how it is here, but it's not acceptable. It's not helpful to make it acceptable.
Yep.
Compassion is not helpful.
Oh, thank God. I love hearing you say that.
It's not helpful because you live in delusion. It's doublethink. It is George Orwellian doublethink. It's set, right? On 1984. It's doublethink because you say, okay, this person is darkness. They're showing psychopathic or sociopathic behavior. They are abusing me in this way. This doesn't feel right. All of my spidey senses internally are going off, but it's not their fault, so it's okay.
Yeah.
You have to hold that and make all of that true
and
continue to actively choose abuse.
Yep.
That's doublethink.
Yep.
It's straight out of the book. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But the fact that compassion is held so highly in New Age and in society, it's another thing that points to most of this world is run by darkness. Even if most of this world is not consciously darkness, most of this world is run by darkness.
Yep.
Consciously or unconsciously, it's the same darkness.
Yep.
Consciously or unconsciously, it's the same abuse.
Yep.
And divinity is smart. And I think the way that this is working out, and it feels important to differentiate this out a little bit, we're not here to go through a bunch of abuse and make everyone okay so that we can take everyone with us around us and wake up together. That's not how this works. We're here, first off, to wake the fuck up, and it's top priority. And when we're in those early stages where we feel as though we have a bunch of problems, right? We recently changed our homepage. If you have problems, you've been lied to, right? Which is very bold, but we can stand behind it.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a place where you feel as though you have problems, you are being lied to by that larger darkness.
Yep.
Because the truth of it underneath this reality is that no matter the circumstance, divinity has your back, which means there is nothing that we can go into that we won't be able to access our intuition, access God, the voice of God, and go, okay, given all of these circumstances, there's a pathway through, and it's going to be the best pathway through as calculated by the full power of God.
Yep. All things considered.
There is no way to make that real and to have that internal feeling of problems.
Right.
No way. You can be on fire, and it's like, okay, there's a pathway through my like emotional body being on complete fire. There's a way through this. I can see it. I'm going to listen. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to do this. Right.
Yep.
It almost doesn't matter what you're faced with, because divinity has your back in those circumstances.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you run out of money. It doesn't matter if you think you're going to run out of money. It's all good.
Yep.
And you can click into that place of peace, but it takes a very long time of disproving your body, of over time proving your body is wrong.
Yep.
But like, you get to that place where you don't have problems and it keeps going. You land in that place of peace. You trust your intuition. Where was I going with this? You don't know because I didn't say it.
I have no idea.
Fascinating.
Play it back. I don't know. I know. I don't actually know where you were going. Something about New Age and darkness. Because you said what we're not saying.
I don't know what we're not saying, but there's
what we are saying.
People are run by darkness. This world is run by darkness, and divinity is smart. And the point that divinity is trying to get across to all of us as spiritual people is wake the fuck up first. And then by being yourself, liberated, by being your liberated version of yourself, you'll be able to do your work in the world here.
Yep.
But your soul has to run the show before you can do any of that.
Yep.
So we end up in these scenarios, right, where there are these ideals that are held on high, compassion, like purity, right? And we hold these ideals up, but we are incapable of being that, genuinely incapable of that. There may be some point in the distant future where compassion is a value that we would make decisions on, but it would show up through that very direct intuitive feed, where we've all felt where compassion is true, where it's like, I need to forgive this person even though I don't want to. There are moments where we're like, regardless of what happened, I totally forgive you. This is totally good. And you can come back at any time, right? There's that feeling with certain people where we're like, yeah, I don't care what happened. Message anytime. We'll pick right back up. There's also, I don't care that it seemed like nothing happened. Absolutely not. I have to draw this clean line here because it's not here whatsoever, right? There's hard walls and there's wide open spaces, but all of that's intuitively guided. None of that is because we hold compassion as a high value.
No.
It dictates our decisions,
right?
Because we end up holding the value of compassion above God. And that's where the New Age landscape and really just philosophy as a whole, people like Sam Harris and all of those landscapes start to get really tricky, is it doesn't matter what moral standard you have. If God is real and you have direct access to him or to it, to all of divinity, if you put anything above God, it becomes unideal. It becomes inefficient. It's not as ideal. It's not as good.
That's funny.
Love, compassion, truth. You put anything above God and suddenly you lose the ideal. It doesn't matter how good it is. You lose the ideal. There are no values above God. And that's why, that's why like idolatry in the Bible, it's not only worshiping idols. Like, it's not just about worshiping idols. I think it's also about worshiping ideas or people, right? It's like that same thing. It's like, as soon as you make God anything, as soon as you define God and you say, this is God, so we need to follow this. As soon as you do that, even the Bible is God, so we need to follow the Bible. As soon as you do that, you put something above God. And as soon as you put something above God, you've lost. That's darkness. It's the inversion of truth.
Right.
So we end up in this place where the world is run by darkness and we are told to have compassion. We have to be able to overcome those ideas to essentially come back to God and put God on high, to put the truth of our intuition, the truth of our connection back above all of the other things that we put on these pedestals to be a good person.
Right.
And if we don't do that, then the darkness here is won, because that is the effort here, is to put other things on high that aren't divinity, that aren't God. And by doing that, you can always manipulate a rationalization to make things that are really atrocious okay. And that's how you end up in a world where you have a slave system that is subservient to darkness and wants to be and tries to do even better and rationalizes being even more dark and walking even more away from the truth of what we ultimately know to be true to chase an idea. Money is not even real.
Yep.
We start to chase an idea. We chase these values. We chase these paths that are laid out for us, but it's the psyop. It is a endless treadmill. And the harder we run, the deeper we get entrenched into it, and the more we serve Satan. And the more we serve Satan, the more we get rewarded, because that's the way that the incentives are built.
Yep.
And to say that that's all coincidence, right? That's where, again, Jordan Peterson lost me, because it cannot be.
Right.
There is nothing about my personal experience, my subjective experience. There's nothing about my experience that can let me believe that. And I have to be okay with trusting myself above a bunch of other people who seem to be referencing each other and don't trust themselves at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a big one. Got lost halfway through. Glad I found it.
The oracle on the hill has spoken. The oracle in the car. No, it's great. I love when you go off like that. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I love about David is that he's David. Like,
What do you mean?
well, because I feel like I'm totally bashing more on New Age and channels and all of that stuff that I see out there. I don't see people being, so this is what I realized the other day, because I was trying to understand, because I get so ferocious about people referencing their journal of what they channeled. It's like, okay, fucking hoe bag, integrate those goddamn messages that you got and say them as yourself. We don't need to be given credit to the fucking star seeds. Like, fucking say what you're here to say and say it as you. If you actually believe your channel, if you have that type of relationship with your channel where you're trusting what you're getting, if you have that type of relationship with divinity, with God, if you're trusting what you're getting, fucking prove it, embody it, be it, walk your fucking talk. Don't just reference, oh, my channel said this, my ET fucking fuckery said this, so now I'm going to say it, but I'm going to say it in this really passive way, so that way if you come at me, it wasn't me, it was my channel. It's like, no, fucking own it. Own it. And that's what I love so much about you, is that you bring it through. You bring, whether you're in trance or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking amazing. And that is not what I see out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you integrate these messages so quickly, and you're able to articulate them as yourself with real-time, real-world examples.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not referencing in this like really passive, docile way through your journal entries of what B told you, so now maybe it could be true. Like there's a real potency to what you bring in and the way that you deliver it, whether you're in trance or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, because I don't fucking see that anywhere.
Yeah. I think this is where, we're going as a species. I don't mean that as like me being like the prime example of like the superior man. I mean that from like, I hate that. It reminds me of Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar, talking about how he doesn't remember much, but he remembers more than Edgar Casey. And he's like, and I've been talking to some channels, and like they seem to remember almost everything. And he's like, I think where the arc of channeling is going is that the conduits, the channels themselves, remember much more and become an active part of kind of informing the message and kind of co-creating that message as a process. That to me makes a lot of sense. It also makes a lot of sense to me that if I couldn't embody this myself, I could go out further and bring through more. And I can feel that to a degree within myself, that I can go out further and bring through more.
I don't actually think that's helpful.
I don't think it's helpful, because I think we're here to be living embodiments of it, and that's where things are, right?
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's where things were going.
Yep.
But that's, I think, the balance that you have as a channel. Is you can go out further and you can bring through things that trigger you, or that you are incapable of embodying, or you can be kind of a part of it and then become a living embodiment of it. But I think that's ultimately
the point, right?
I think that's ultimately the point and where we're going.
Yeah.
It's cool that people like Edgar Casey or Bashar, it's cool that they didn't remember much and they still brought through things. Like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. I don't know about Edgar Casey. I don't know.
I have no sense. I've never even heard the name.
Psychic.
Oh.
Back in the day. Famous psychic back in the day. But yeah, I do think that's where we're going. And I think it's going to get more and more in that direction. Like for me, that's been something that I've had to kind of reconcile too, because I feel the same thing, except for I'm the one doing it. So it's even harder, right?
What do you mean?
I feel the same thing as you, of like, I don't like pretty much any channel. I don't listen to any channels. I don't even like spiritual teachers.
I know.
Like I can't read basically anything that's spiritual in nature.
I know.
I can sit
I
all
dabble
day.
for a minute, and I think it's like basically to throw logs on my fire.
Yeah,
like it's just to like get
yeah.
me fucking hot about
Yeah.
something so I can bitch and complain. And
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know why else I go into these little. I can't even spend a full thing there. Like I can only be there for a little bit, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I feel similar, but it's weird feeling similar. It's weird feeling similar because I am also doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing you're like, well, I'm dating this guy who's doing it and I'm in business with this channel. So I should like channeling. I'm like, oh, I'm the one that's actually doing it. Like I am the channel and I don't like channeling, you know? So I feel similar, but that's what I meant. But I feel similar, but I'm the one doing it. So I've had to get okay with it. And that's another thing, right? I check myself constantly.
Yeah.
I think the thing that made me okay with it, I mean, there was no one thing. It's been probably 100 hours of talking with B, just in deep emotional turmoil of like, I can't do this. There's no way that I can be this person. I think this is bad. I think you're probably bad. I think everything that you're telling me, you're probably just like a demon and you're fucking with me. Like it's like exploring all of the fucking other explanations. So it's that. It's just the excruciating pain of working through all of it bit by bit. But I think the thing that's started to land over time is like, my role in the second paradigm is one, just to be myself. Like we're both here to be ourselves and to transmit, and we're here to pull directly from our own unique feeds.
Yep.
But there are things that I can't grab, and it's not because I couldn't articulate it. It's because it triggers me too much. The embodiment's a little bit too much. So I can say it like a little girl. Like I can be like, well, it's everything's good. Or I can bring through B and B can say it with certainty. I can feel the truth in it either way, but the effect is severely diminished when I'm triggered like shit and I can hardly articulate it because I'm so triggered. So the things that stretch me, there's B, and that's kind of the role we end up playing. It's like I want to embody all of it, and I want to be able to bring through all of it, but I can't bring through the edges of it by myself because I'm too triggered and I end up in my spin, and I can't differentiate the edges. But I can bring through B, and immediately all of the certainty of an external source comes through because it's easy for him to see it in the same way that it's easy for us to see each other's shit. So he can see the things that I can't see right at the edges of our work. And then if I land in that energy, then then it'll just roll. So like once I kind of understood the reason why, then I started to feel a little bit better about it, you know? Because it's not like, I don't really want, like I don't need to know a bunch of things like I wanted to before. I know. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm not really curious in the way that I was before. I know.
Same.
Like I don't need to know what's happening with the white hats and the black hats, right?
I know.
In those
and like what's on his ship and what Trump's soul has to say.
I don't care about any of the species because I think it's a inferior model to the truth. I think the truth is much more complex and hard to imagine than, because I think it's interdimensional too. I really, the like Star Wars version of this, I stay away from it. I don't care what the Palladians and the Greys and the Arcturians and I don't care any of that. It's all irrelevant. One, that's not their actual names, right? Certainly that's not their actual names. Certainly they don't actually live on those exact stars. I think almost certainly they are not living, like B is not from that star, Sirius. I think that is an extreme oversimplification.
I know. And when you get into the flat earth models, some of them, there's land outside of this particular dome that we're actually on an infinite mass.
Sure.
So that totally, for me, changed. I'm like, oh, that's where those other civilizations are.
Yeah. And there's things that B have said before where I'm like, this is really confusing and I don't completely understand, right? And I think he's told me just enough to scramble every model that I have of how the universe works and how this all has to be. And I think it's purposeful. And I finally ended up in this place where I've got all of my curiosities. I feel like it's not mine to do, and I'm just going to get stressed out overwhelmed, and I'm gonna be a shitty channel. I'm gonna be a shitty channel if I make this my life's work.
Yeah.
Because there's no fucking way for me to know any of this.
It's the same thing of like the people that in the Patriot movement that get up and cry and ask, "Oh my God, what should I be doing for the children?"
Yeah.
And it's like, you're a blubbering mess, lady. You need to go home and take a nap. Like you ain't be doing nothing for these children.
Yeah, what you got to do for the children is get your shit together.
Yeah. Like that's your greatest service right now is fucking getting this hot mess all cleared up.
Yes.
So yeah, I feel that. It's weird. It feels to me, I mean, I went off on Soul Over PSYOP, which is in the blue tier of the Second Paradigm membership. I went off in there about people using their God-given gifts of channeling to determine this or that. Like I remember when we did a free channel night at the beginning of 2020, like March 2020, when like the lockdowns happened and we were in Denver, and it was a free one, and I don't like that because the questions are dog shit. But one of the questions was like, when are we going to experience the 3 days of darkness? And I was like, ugh.
You didn't even read it, I don't think, right?
Oh no, I read it.
Really?
Yeah, I was so annoyed. I might have had to have my face off camera. Because it was like, what? Like, that is so not what's here. Yeah. Like, how is that relevant? You're here experiencing this phenomenon of channeling with a really pristine, clear channel that can help you with the actual shit in your life.
Yeah.
But you're asking about this? Like, it reminds me of the beginning of when you first started channeling and we were all like, oh my God, like, what's his ship like? How far away is it? Like, it doesn't fucking matter. It's all irrelevant. That is not the thing that's here. That's not the thing that's here that's going to help us land our embodiments. It's the same mechanism that keeps us watching reality TV. It keeps us disconnected from the truth of what's actually here for us, the tensions that are actually here for us. And that's what I do love about the Gold Chair channel nights is more often than not, people are asking questions that are relevant to their personal life, and it's like juicy and meaty, and we get somewhere, and it helps the whole. So don't ask stupid questions. And yes, there is a such thing as a stupid question. For fuck's sake, whoever made up that rule was lying. Seriously. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Because I think here's the distinction is there's our personal curiosities that really move nothing forward.
Right.
Then there's the really, really hard hitting things that are already here in our own lives. Yep. And I think it's tough to be in that and to witness someone ask something that has nothing to do with moving their life forward, but there's a big elephant in the room. And the big elephant in the room is like, hey, my life feels like it's falling apart. Yeah. Everything is completely falling apart. I'm completely scared. I feel like we're all going to die. I feel like nobody's awake. Yep. And I feel like I'm completely alone and that I'm going to run out of money soon and that everything's going to fall apart. Like, that's the real shit where we get to go, good. And that's basically the answer. Yeah. It's like, good. Now let's let this settle. Yep. Be with all of that shit. Yep. Because this is reality. Yep. So come back to it, even though it's excruciating, come back to it. Yep. And then be with it and then listen. Yeah. There's that guy on TikTok that said he got a message from God or something. I was listening across the room, but it was a whisper in a loud room is quiet. A whisper in a quiet room is loud. And he was like, was this message from God? And it was really profound. And then I wrote it down. And my wife said that's from God. And I was like, I know. And then I went and wrote it down and kept listening to it more. But it's true. Like when we're full of other shit and we're not actually being with the thing that's here, there's no way for divinity to really deliver us a message that's relevant to what's actually going to move our life forward. There's a degree of space and peace that's required to hear the things that are here. Because more often than not, the things that are here, we don't want to deal with them because they are too hard. Yeah. And that's why we are dealing with them. Because we need to be able to overcome things that are too hard, because nothing is actually too hard. There's nothing that's actually too hard. That is if you have problems, you're being lied to. Right. Because nothing's actually too hard. Right. We're never stuck. We're never about to die. And the minute we believe that, we're trusting this system of darkness over the truth of how divinity works. It means we've come to this place that is hard, and we got sucked into it, and we forgot that we have power. We forgot that we have direct access to infinite power and wisdom. Not because we are infinitely powerful and wise, but because God is infinitely powerful and wise. And we are a piece of that. We are intricately connected to it. And regardless of how it looks, regardless of how it works, regardless of whether or not B is in a physical body or not, I think he is. Regardless of how all of that works, there is a very definitive connection that we all have the experiential experience of. It's all a genuine felt sense. It's the actual experience. It's not the words. It's not the how we invoke. It's not spiritual theater. It's that genuine actual experience inside can guide us forward.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to trust that we're never stuck, and that feeling will always be there if we get quiet enough.
Yep.
And that no matter what is hard in our life, if we face it, we'll be able to overcome it.
Yep.
And that's why it's frustrating, right? At Channel Nights or whatever, or in any setting, in any coaching or mentorship or spiritual work, in any setting, it's almost painful to feel someone's existential pain, and then they go, "What color pants are you wearing, B?" And it's like, "Oh, we're not going to talk about anything real here today."
Yeah.
So how do we answer that question and then push you back into your discomfort? That's almost always the feeling. It's like, okay, cool. You can't be with the things that are here, so let's answer your question in a roundabout way that just enough satisfies the curiosity without actually answering anything, and loop back into the things that are actually here, and press you right back into the discomfort.
Yep.
And that was difficult because he also does it to me. That was all the same answers I got.
Yeah.
It's like just enough, but it's like, yeah, but what's actually here in your life? I'm like, oh, it's so hard. He's like, yeah, okay, cool, let's talk about it.
Yeah. That's how you become a person.
Yeah.
We can spend our whole life worrying about other people's shit. And I mean, the whole Patriot, Trump, white hat, black hat, like we can spend the totality of our gifts pulling from that. But for what?
Yeah.
Like the people that are pulling from that are not on YouTube. The people that are genuinely in the know are not on YouTube. They're not on any social media platform. I'm convinced of it. They're actually doing real work. Like there's actually things happening. I imagine they're also working with off-planet intelligences. Like it's so much more of an intricate web, and it is not for us to know. And if we find out, cool. And if we never know, cool. It doesn't matter. What's here is to land the embodiments that we're actually here to land by engaging with the world, by engaging with what's here for us, by standing up for ourselves, by knowing what's right without any justification for our knowing and just standing in it anyway. That's everything. That's how you become a person here. That's how things change here. Yep. Otherwise, we just continue to perpetuate the same old system of darkness. The same old system of this is how you do things here. This is how you get ahead. You schmooze this person. You say this to this person. You don't do that in front of this person. They wouldn't think that was funny. It's like, oh my God, what the fuck? I just shaved off 90% of who I am if I'm going to talk to this fucker. I don't think so. Pretty sure he shits on the toilet the same way I do.
And that's the realization we had the other day. We were talking about over lunch, breakfast food at lunch. Was like, I was watching White Collar. And then there was this psychologist and whatever, and she was talking about sociopaths, and something clicked for me where she was describing sociopaths, and she was like, you keep referencing me for what to do and how to be. That's what sociopaths do. And I was like, oh my God, that is what sociopaths do. I was like, that is what that
and that's
that
the
is.
world.
And that's the world, because that's what we are trained to do here.
Yeah.
Stop feeling.
Yep.
Reference.
Yep.
Read. Find the way.
Yep.
And take it.
Yep.
It's sociopath training, schooling, the way that the job sites worked with, our social infrastructure, and the way that we train each other through policing each other's emotions and all of that.
Yeah, like
all of the ways we relate to each other. It's like it's sociopath training. We're trying to reference each other for the truth instead of checking in.
Right.
With God, or even with ourselves, even just with how we're feeling inside.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's like that little kid at Lowe's with his mom when she told him he needed to be patient, and then patience doesn't include moaning and groaning. Yeah. I was like, oh boy, here we go. I mean, he had his mask on. She did too. And she had her buttons of how of a good person she was, all of her social justice buttons. Yeah, it's pretty real and intense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is how you be here.
Yeah. But it's remarkable how far this path goes. It's remarkable what you can get to by settling into peace. Because there's this place where, I mean, hopefully we help make it clear in this podcast, which I feel ending because I'm pinching my legs together because I have to pee. But there's this place right at the beginning where it's like, I feel like shit, nothing's going to work out and everything's pointless. There's that feeling, right, of like, bring it on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's possible if we make all of that darkness real and we acknowledge how hard it is here to be ourselves. We acknowledge how hard it is here to own the things that we ultimately feel to be true and to be that externally. But when we face that and we go, but I'm going to be alone forever, then soul goes, so what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to be disconnected from the people who you're referencing right now that are keeping you trapped in a prison of your own creation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not, I remember getting that message from soul of like, it's not a tragedy that you're losing all of these friends. It's a tragedy how much time you put into playing a character to build friendships that weren't actually true or there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Like, God, that sucks. That's the worst message fucking ever.
That's such a hard hitting one.
But suddenly I'm more relieved.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, there's always a pathway through, there's always truth. And you really do get to that place where you see the world clearly, you see how hard it is. You still feel like you're buckling just a little bit under the weight of the world. Yeah. But there's that knowing of like, no matter what's here and no matter what happens, I could run out of money, I could end up homeless, I could end up on the streets, I could end up with nothing. I would still have a way through.
Yep.
And I would be myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not going to run into total catastrophe by trusting myself and listening to God, then like, let's go for it.
Yeah.
You know, like, bring it on. Mm-hmm. And even if I am, I can't give that up.
Yep.
I can't give up this. I can't give up my soul. I can't give up my truth.
Yep.
For a system that incentivizes darkness.
Yep.
Through tokens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were at fucking Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. It's no different. Playing
a game where the darkest one gets the most tickets and gets the prize up at the top.
Mm-hmm. Gets the giant stuffed animal.
It is that simple when you zoom out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But when you're able to look it in the fucking eyes, and you know that you have the full weight of all of God behind you, there is that feeling. It's all right, bring it on, let's do it. Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Yep.
And that's where it doesn't matter how many people are standing outside of that.
Right.
Bring it on.
Cool. That's a good one. I'm glad you said yes reluctantly.
Yeah, thanks.
I wish I recorded the beginning.
I know, I was thinking that too.
I almost thought of recording you and I was like, God, that's so rude. I'm like one of those like moms that records her kid throwing a tantrum instead of like consoling them or being with them. You just hit record.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. And then what I was thinking was like, man, I wish I was recording right now too. I had that same thing inside.
Oh, cool.
Even before we got there.
Well, next time I'll do it.
Yeah, because what I realized was I was like, I want to like be happy to do these podcasts.
Yeah.
You know? But like sometimes when the field rolls in, it's so heavy that I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do this. I don't want to fucking talk to anyone. I don't want to like, I don't want to do this. And like, it's like the full existential crisis weight comes landing in, you know, because it's the thing that we're going to speak into.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, this is buckling me. Like, this is fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've quit cigarettes, I mean, it's even fucking harder, right? I mean, I haven't smoked for, I don't know, a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when you stopped.
I don't know when I stopped too. I mean, it's not since we've been here. Before
Your birthday?
we left. Oh, yeah. It was the day after my birthday. So it's just like July.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good.
But it's like, man, I don't even have this coping mechanism. I can't bear the full weight of this field anymore.
Not true.
Not true. But
I know.
And
then
thanks
I
for
probably
transmitting.
wasn't helping either because I was laughing hysterically.
She was laughing hysterically.
Because it didn't make sense.
But that's how I do to you too.
I know.
I do the exact same thing.
That's true. But yeah, it
But
didn't.
your method, I make fun of you. Your method was like, fine, let's give up. I'll just post on my own Miriam telegram. And I was like, fuck, this isn't fucking helpful. I was like, damn it.
I know.
Annoying. And you're like, fine, let's return our podcast chairs. And I was like,
I know.
That's not what I'm looking for.
I
want a way through.
I play in the extremes.
I know.
I was like, okay, well.
There were a few times where I was like smiling. It's hard to stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to fully go for it.
You tried. You tried.
I did try. You tried. Oh yeah, we watched this video that we took in Austin. I was feeling terrible, so bad.
Oh yeah, it
And
never
Miriam
stopped.
starts recording me. She always wants to. Every time I feel like shit, she always wants to like, oh, let's record something. Do you want to shoot a podcast? Do you want to shoot a video? So she starts recording me, and then she's like, "What did you say you wanted to be on your tombstone?" And I was like, "He tried." Apparently, we were just having that conversation. How I was gonna die, and then on my tombstone, I was gonna put, "He tried."
You were upset because we didn't know where we were gonna live once our lease was up.
Yeah.
And I was like, we never know where we're gonna live.
Yeah, that's true. That was a fucking crazy one.
It's like we just move when it's time to move. But even when I was talking like that the other day, he's like, stop being so philosophical. Answer my question. Because even when he's driving, he's like, which way should I go? I'm like, well, you can go either way.
Yeah. And I'm like, I wouldn't have asked if that's what I was looking for. I was like, I'm not some beta male looking for your approval. I need directions. What do you mean either way?
Like, well, you can go left.
You can go left or you can go right.
And we'll still get there.
Like, I hate that. I hate that. Which way is better? They're about the same.
They are.
Oh,
I know, but that's
God.
the truth. Even if you pulled it up on maps and looked at it, you'd see that they're...
I'd say similar ETA. I know.
So
I understand.
I'm also saying similar ETA. But you just take it out on me.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's the scoop.
It is a scoop.
This is a good season 4, episode 0.
I know. I liked it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. I mean, one day we'll be speaking to more people, and until then we won't.
Yeah.
You know? But like
Look at you being all philosophical.
I know.
That's how it works.
But it's like
just the truth.
Yes. Right?
It's
That's
the
it.
truth.
That's it, right? Like that's the thing. Those are the things that always hook. It's always like, yeah, but what if we weren't here now? Because I can imagine things that would be better than this. That's I think a huge source of suffering, is being able to imagine things that are better than this across one singular metric. It's not that it would actually be better.
Right.
It's that in this one metric that I'm stressed about right now that I've put all of my problems into. Like it's like this whole feeling of existential crisis, of the world being as dark as it is, of the intuition pressing us into our edges, of feeling insecure and like we're incapable of doing what we came here to do. It all gets put into this thing of like, if we just had $20 more, you know, everything would be better. And then it's like, then you can imagine things that would make that singular metric better.
Yep.
We can do things to make more money.
Yep.
We can do things to get more approval, to get more fame. You can make one of those metrics better, but the thing that's here already is ideal. And it's almost hard to fully settle into that until you do.
Yep.
But once you do, it's so rock solid. It's so rock solid. And every scenario we've been in for, I mean, really since we've met, but that feeling is like the past year and a half or something. Every scenario that we're in, it's like there is nowhere else we could be that is better. There's no other circumstance that could be better than this.
Yep. Then that's where New Age ideology goes out the window, and thoughts and positive thoughts and manifestation and all of that stuff. It's not applicable. It doesn't work. It's not relevant because when you trust what's here, when you trust that you're already connected and checking in, and you've checked in the whole time, that's how you even ended up in this circumstances, because you checked in the whole way there.
Yeah.
So how could you make this wrong if you're trusting divinity the whole way? It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Those other things, the like those all of those buckets, they don't hook. They're not even enticing. Because it's like, no, I know. I mean, yeah, it sucks like that we're at my mom's in the dead of winter, gonna be the dead of winter. It's cold. It's kind of miserable. I don't know. It's fucking chemtrails galore here. Always raining. It's like freaking Seattle or some shit.
And we found out by being here and not having a garage anymore that most Honda Pilots leak across the wheel well seam. So I've been trying to fix it because underneath our
carpet's wet.
Our carpets, they've been wet. So I vacuumed that out with a wet vac like probably 5 times now.
Yeah.
I silicone sealed it. Still leaks. Less, but still leaks. So that's also annoying.
So
we have
all of
so
these
many
things,
problems because we've been lied to.
Yes, exactly. But it's if we make that wrong,
Yes.
then we negate the entire thing that got us here, which was our intuitive knowing, and actually praying and asking God what was here, and overcome with go get Mary. Yeah. And my mom got the same message. So it's like, we're just going to write off that huge monumental moment as annoying and inconvenient and blah, 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 and make it all wrong. And we need to get out of here sooner. And but it's like, no, we're just here until we're not here anymore. And my mom's totally cool with it. She's not in a rush. She had her, feelings about it in the beginning because she thought we would move quicker. We all did.
So did we. Mm-hmm.
But that's not the truth of what's going on. And I think it's so, what I love so much about what we're doing is that we're really walking our talk. We really are doing what we're guided to do, even when it doesn't look right or make sense or whatever the fuck we think. However we think it should be playing out, we're still doing what's here.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you not? It feels like a waste to do anything else or to try to like manufacture something that you think may seem better. But in actuality, it's like, well, I'm not manufacturing shit anymore. Like I'm fucking here. I'm here the long game, long haul, long haulers.
We're long haulers.
Recovered long hauler. Yeah, like it's like, why would you do anything but what's actually here for you?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just keep writing off your experiences that had happened previously when you did listen to light and it led you to this place that you're in now. It's like, this isn't any different. There's going to be challenges in this circumstance too, but it's all to help you to become who you're actually here to be. And there is no like light washing or spiritual bypassing, or there's really hard hitting truths in these configurations of reality that I think are important to acknowledge and let just be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's not this, like, everyone's trying to strive for this bliss bunny existence, but that doesn't exist here.
Mm-mm.
That's you floating 6 inches out of your body, not actually engaging with the world. When we were in Tucson, one of the messages that came through was rise to the energy. And
people started orbiting out.
Yeah, people started leaving our work, which is, I mean, it was also
so
in
funny.
Conjunction with,
with Trump and stuff.
Voting for Trump and just seeing that all unfold. But again, that's another piece of it. Like, you don't just live this like floaty spiritual existence of not engaging with the world. The whole first half of the second paradigm work was to just let things drop, like stop, like don't, like you're not fucking lazy. Like you just really like only do the things that are here for you. And it's like, well, I haven't done my dishes in a week. It's like, okay, whatever, let it be. Like, you'll do your dishes when you feel inspired to do them. Like, can you trust that? Can you be with the discomfort of what it may mean about you because you haven't done your dishes in a week? Like, there's some real fucking shit here. Like, you're not losing it. You're not depressed. You're not any of that shit. You're not lazy. You're actually trusting what you're getting, and you're letting these things break and these ideas break of who you're supposed to be here. That's all been programmed into you. And then eventually the second paradigm, it kicked over to this place of like, okay, now it's time to engage. It's time to say something. It's time to like do the things that are here. It's time to do the dishes. Like, it's time to go to these places. It's time to engage with the world. So that came in, and yeah, people did orbit out because they didn't like that, because they liked the not having to do anything iteration of life. But in that pocket of not doing anything, there's so much work that's happening. You're being able to differentiate between body and soul and soul truth, and let your soul truth start to land, and you're like, oh shit, okay, my body's spinning, that's weird. But it takes a bit to get there, but then you eventually get to this place where you're like,
once you see it, you can see it.
Yeah. And it eventually gets to the place of body has its opinion, and then there's soul truth that comes in, and you're like, I'm doing soul truth.
Yep.
We can have this fucking anxiety all you want, but like, the soul truth is here, and I'm going this way.
Yep. And once your decisions are fully integrated in soul, then you reach a point. It's in the tipping point, Doc. You reach a point where you realize that you have no problems, because divinity has your back always. And you realize that you're completely good, and there's this feeling of eternal peace. And if you can access that feeling of eternal peace, eventually you can get to the place where everything starts to settle and you're capable of psychologically facing the world.
Yeah.
And I think before that, we're pretty much incapable of fully facing the world.
Yeah.
So we have to face just our own circumstances. And even that buckles us.
Yeah.
But then we get to a place where we realize we have no problems personally. We're good. We're safe. And then we can psychologically face all of it. And once we psychologically face all of it, we become solid.
Yep.
And once we're solid enough, then we're able to actually do our work in the world and be who we are.
Yep. And that's what's happening in the incubator. And then before the incubator, we have inner solidity.
Yep. Which is that process that we just described. Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. And we have channel nights.
Yep.
And then we have Soul Over Psyop, where I just bitch and rant for hours on end.
It's great. I know it was going to be called Bitch and Rant, but
No, it was going to be called
Snarky Cunts.
Snarky Cunts. But I need a co-host because David didn't want to be a snarky cunt. It's not really his role.
You know what? I thought of another name one day. I think I was sleeping, or I told you in my dream or something. But it was it was something complaint. But it's like a not genuine complaint, not purposeful complaint, something like that. You know, it was like my actual complaints, you know, like they're real, they're justified or something like that. Yeah, like my justifiable complaints or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
I know. I thought that
like
was
that
kind of cool too. Something like that. I thought the word was with an I. It might have been.
I don't know.
But
so
yeah.
far.
So yeah, we got a bunch of stuff. More's coming inevitably.
Yep.
But yeah, this is where we are right now.
In the car. It's getting darker.
In the car, it is getting
foggy.
darker and darker, and my
I feel
bladder
like
is getting fuller
running
and fuller.
out of air.
Yeah,
It's as if
that is the one problem about the car is about after an hour and a half or so, you start suffocating. But before that, it's fine.
It's basically like wearing a mask.
Yes, it's true.
But I wouldn't know because I haven't worn one. Still unmasked.
Oh, since 1984.
Yep, you read that right.
That's true. Except for Brian Bruce mask.
I did wear
So,
that. And
Halloween
I
costume.
did wear our painting masks.
Oh, yes, that's true. Full-blown respirator. But
Yeah.
that was so we didn't choke on paint fumes because that was a legitimate thing.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Alrighty. Thanks for tuning in.
Keep
This has
going.
been fun. Keep trusting.
And welcome home.
We're still doing that? We'll see. All right.
Bye.
Bye.